Hey everyone, welcome to Steph and Key TV. Please like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps our channel, and let me know what you thought of today's video. All right, New Jersey, let's get into it. Goodness. All right, so we open with the ladies all having their kids do either like going to school or doing homeschooling and digital learning, and Jennifer is with her mom. Goodness, I'm tired of Jennifer bringing her family issues onto the show and ripping her mother apart. Like, I don't know what's going on with her parents because we're hearing both sides, but we don't know who's telling the truth. And I don't really care. And I don't want to get involved. This is like a cultural thing, and it's just making me very uncomfortable to even talk about it. Because I mean, like, we saw the father side. He's like, she's mean, she's angry. All the kids are siding with him. We see the mother side. She's like, he treats me like crap. And then we find out, like, we never knew this. We find out that her mother got married when she was 16. Her father was 26 years old at the time. I'm like, but see, this is why I don't want to talk about it. Because me as me is like, that's insane. I could never allow that in. But like, culturally, that's like different for them. So it's hard for me to judge that, but I'm understanding her mother's side more. She was so young. She told everybody she didn't want to marry this man. She had to marry him. And she spent her whole life just miserable. And it's just like, now he's miserable. Because I feel like she doesn't want to be the submissive wife anymore. And that's what he's used to. It's a mess. I feel like, was it like last season Jennifer brought her brother on and talked about how mean her mom was because she wouldn't recognize his homosexuality. Now she's bringing her mother on to talk about how mean she is to her father. It's just like, Jennifer, come on. Like, I hate when they do this because they're like, they don't have a storyline of their own. Because what is Jennifer doing? Like, what's she doing? What's her storyline? Other than her parents arguing in this messy, nasty relationship. Like, so then she's telling her mother about her fight with Margaret. And I understand her frustration. Like, she's saying, like her and her mother are saying that Margaret has no right to judge her because of the drinking and Bill taking care of her and stuff. But I'm like, you judged her about how, like, you forgot to mention that you judged Margaret about how she was talking to her husband. Like, stay out of it. I feel like they're both wrong now. They're both getting on my everlasting nerve. Like, Margaret was wrong. No. Jennifer was wrong for talking to, like, Margaret, bringing up how she talked to her husband. It's none of Jennifer's business. So Margaret retaliated and talked about how a sloppy drunk she was and how her husband is her meal ticket. That's none of Margaret's business. All of this could have been resolved if Jennifer hadn't brought up the whole Margaret and Joe situation. She should have just stuck to the issue that was at hand. I'm pissed at you because you yelled at me at that dinner, and you had no right to yell at me because your husband was being messy and helped spread the rumor. My husband told me, and I told Teresa. That's your husband's fault. That's what the real issue was. Her talking about, oh, I would never talk to my husband like that. You were sloppy doing that. It was just like, really, Jennifer? Ugh. Her and Margaret. I know there's like Team Margaret, Team Jennifer. Neither. How about that? So Melissa, Jackie, and Marge are having lunch. They're talking about the homeschooling thing. And then Marge is talking about her book. She's just, upset with Jennifer for bringing up the, like, well, I didn't judge you for sleeping with your boss. And she's like, who would judge you for that? There's plenty of people judging Marge right now for that. Like, if you go to some comment threads, they are ripping her to shreds. And I'm like, have any of you, like, none of you have been in a situation where you've been sexually harassed? And I'm like, even if you haven't, can't you understand, have some compassion for someone who's young and their boss who's in power over them, has complete power over them, can fire you at will, is to, like asking you for sex or pushing sex on you, and you feel like, well, what do I do? And if you say no, like, not saying like everybody does it, but like, I feel compassion for Marge. Like, that's what the whole Me Too movement is about. Like, get with the picture, ladies. There's like so much judgment on her for this, and I feel like it's really messed up. But she's going forward with her book, and now the ladies are talking about the whole Joe and Melissa situation. I just don't know if I'm buying it. I said in the last video, I can't tell if this is like a real fight for them or like a manufactured fight for a storyline. Because you just never know. You never know. But then they mentioned that Teresa's having like a psychic party. She's invited all of the ladies, including Jackie. And Marge really feels like Teresa's seeing someone. She's like, Teresa couldn't make it to Dolores' thing. She said Adriana had a soccer thing. She didn't post any pictures. She's like, you post your oatmeal every day, but you can't post a picture of your daughter's soccer tournament. She knows something's going on. Melissa's just like, I don't know. She hasn't told me anything. But in her confessional, we find out she knows everything, but she's been sworn to secrecy. So I feel like we're going to see the guy that Teresa's dating soon, because we've seen like clips of him and her together. So I feel like that's coming soon. And she's got a new man and she's living her best life. So we're finally going to get to see that. So poor Dolores, she's been advocating for breast cancer awareness. She got an award for it. She went and got her mammogram and it showed up abnormal. So I'm like, oh my gosh. And I feel like this is what scares people into getting mammograms, because they're afraid that something's going to pop up. But if we don't go get them, we'll never know. So she's going to go get biopsy, and then she'll find out in 2 weeks. She's told David, thankfully, and Frank, of course, ex-husband knows everything, and we're just gonna wait and see. So I'm sure everything's gonna be fine, because David seems like sure of everything, so he's a doctor. So all the ladies are getting ready for Teresa's psychic party. Some of them are a little nervous. We see Marge, she's talking to Joe. She's talking about Jennifer's Instagram live. I guess Jennifer was looking for like a live-in nanny, a housekeeper. She's stressing out because she's got to clean that big-ass house all by herself because those kids are like, nah. And Marge is just like knocking Jennifer for like asking for a housekeeper, saying it's tone deaf. I mean, I wish I had a housekeeper. Shoot. Don't we all wish we had a housekeeper who wants to clean? Who wants to? But I mean, it is what it is. They just don't get along. So I feel like no matter what Jennifer says, Marge is going to be hating. And no matter what Marge says, Jennifer is going to be hating. Let's just hate. So the ladies start to arrive at Teresa's house, which, like, when Jackie shows up, it's very like, hi, how are you doing? And Jackie's never been to Teresa's house before. I guess I just, like, never realized that. I mean, yeah. That makes sense, because they've never gotten along, so she would never be invited to her house. So this is the first time. And I feel like it just goes to show, I feel like Jackie's being very gracious and very nice, considering what Teresa did. And I feel like this is what she was trying to do at the beginning of this season. She invited Teresa to Evan's party so they could have a fresh start, and Teresa, like, crapped all over it. And everybody's making it seem like Jackie's the problem, but Jackie extended the olive branch first. Teresa knocked the branch down. And now that they're, like, okay again, Jackie's being very nice and cordial. And I'm just like, how was this ever Jackie's fault? I don't understand. But, yeah, Marge is already there. Melissa's there. Then Marge starts talking about, Michelle comes over, the realtor. And I'm like, Teresa, stop trying to make Michelle happen. She isn't going to happen. I don't care to see her. Like, we don't really need friends of the show for this cast. I don't think it's necessary. But they're talking about baby stuff. And then Marge brings up the Jennifer thing about the Instagram live and the needing the nanny. And I'm just like, Marge, let it go. It's like, now she's the dog with the bone. And I feel like it's just going to create unnecessary tension. But Dolores shows up. They're still chatting it up. And now Jennifer is showing up. So I just know it's going to be a hot ass mess with her and Marge, like, to the end of time. We went from like one fight to another. So Jennifer walks in and Jackie's like, you're wearing the same pants as me. So they have like the same cute little pants. And then they're asking like Jennifer what she's been up to, and Marge keeps throwing in jabs about like, I heard you need a housekeeper, like you still looking for a nanny and stuff, and just like little jabs here and there. And it's just like, Marge, let it go. I hate when this happens. I hate when I like a housewife and they do stuff to annoy me. Because then I'm like, I'm trying to be on your side here. Because I don't really like Jennifer. I tried this season. I told y'all. I tried. I just don't like her. And I'm trying to be on Marge's side, but she's doing little aggravating things and poking the bear. And then I'm like, you're going to get super mad when Jennifer snaps and lashes out at you. And so Marge was telling everybody, like, she was a little mortified because she's like, people are like losing their house, looking for jobs, and you're talking about like a housekeeper and stuff. And I'm like, you're doing the same judgmental thing that Jennifer was doing to you. Jennifer should have stayed out of your marriage, minded her own business, and you need to stay out of her house and mind your own business. How else can I say it? Stop, ladies. So everybody sits down to talk to the psychic medium, and tears all around. Marge cries, the Michelle chick cries, we get over to Dolores, she cries, and the medium is talking about like the energy with like David and stuff, and him not being her soulmate, and she kind of like accepts it, and she's like, if we part ways, we'll be fine, but it's fine. And then the medium brings up like her dog that passed away like a few years ago, and boo-hooing like all over the place, tears, so many tears. And Melissa's like, she just told you're in a dead-end relationship, nothing. But then she brings up your old dog and you're like crying. And I kind of agree with Marge, though. Marge says, like, you know, dogs love you unconditionally. You don't have to chase them. They're just there with you. So it makes sense that she would be crying over the dog. So then we go through Melissa, tears, Jackie, tears. Finally, we get over to Jennifer. The medium brings up about her parents and stuff, and just encouraging Jennifer to be on her mother's side and be supportive. Which, like, come on, duh. Like, why aren't you supporting your mom? And then we get over to Teresa, and she talks about a new relationship. The medium does. And everybody's like, ooh, see, we knew you were with somebody. And Teresa's trying to, like, shush it away. But, girl, just come out with it already. Like, even the, like, medium put it out there. So you can't deny it anymore. Are you going to say she's a liar? You brought her here? The jig is up. You're in a relationship. Let it be known. So we head over to Jackie's place. Her and her family are celebrating Rosh Hashanah. So I love when we get to see inside the Housewives cultures. It's really nice to deep dive into them. And they're celebrating, I said Rosh Hashanah, right? I said that, right? But they're celebrating Rosh Hashanah. Her whole family came over, and I'm really interested in trying like a vegan version of matzo ball soup. I mean, it looks really good. So maybe I might have to like whip that up sometime, but they're having a good time, family time, and it's just nice to see her in a much better mood and living her best life. So Melissa and Joe are having a date night. She tells him that she's going to bring Antonia to her store Envy so she can do some back to school shopping, and she's going to talk to her about the birds and the bees. And I'm just like, please don't do that on camera. Please don't do that to that girl. Do you know how embarrassing, like, years down, and she has to look back and, like, everybody's seen her mom talk to her about sex? Like, don't do that on camera. Just don't. But do talk to her about sex. I feel like it's long overdue. She has a boyfriend. Like, get on with it, Melissa. So they just start talking about, you know, like, Melissa's in a different stage. They both are. Like, she's like, you're not going to come home to little toddlers running around and your wife cooking at home. Like, their kids are bigger now. I have ambitions of my own. And he just says, you know, like, work hard, but, like, don't forget about, like, me, and don't let it consume you. I feel like he should also take his own advice because he's, like, a workaholic as well. Like, he just needs to accept that they're both working people now, and it's okay, Joe. It's okay. And they kiss, but she kind of, like, looked up, kind of, like, when they kissed, and that was kind of weird, but I'm not trying to read anything into it, but they seem like fine. I feel like they were always fine. I mean, we can't prove it, but I feel like this was like a storyline. But I mean, half of these women don't have storylines, so I guess they got to come up with something. So now we've come to the uncomfortable part of the show where Jennifer is in the kitchen with her father, and her mother comes over to make a dish. The oldest daughter, is in the kitchen, and they're just talking. Bill comes home. Jennifer's mom dotes all over him. She thinks he's like the perfect husband, of course, because she was married to a monster. That's her feeling. That's how she feels. And so then Jennifer decides to bring up the psychic thing in front of everybody. And I was like, oh, Lord, why couldn't she just pull her mother to the side? Of course not, because then we wouldn't have all this drama. So she tells her mother, like, the psychic said that you were right. You felt emotionally abused. You were right. And then the dad's like, I didn't abuse her. And then the mom's like, emotional abuse is worse. And then they just started fighting. Bill tries to calm them down and just like, look, we like this was in the past, like 50 years ago. You can't like compare to how marriages were back then to how it is now, where women in our culture have more equal rights and can decide who they want to marry. She's holding on to a lot, her mother. I feel like she's probably like just regretting so much and feeling like she just like wasted years of her life with this man. And he seemed like he was miserable as well. And it's unfortunate. They finally calm down some. Jennifer takes her mother outside to have some tea and just tells her, you have to let this go. I'm here for you. And it's so uncomfortable. Oh, the daughter was in there crying and stuff. And so Bill tells her to, go upstairs. Like, this isn't a conversation for her. But I'm like, why were you guys having this conversation in front of her? She came down to have breakfast. And y'all are, like, screaming and fighting. It was just a mess. It was so uncomfortable. I don't know. I just feel like they just keep exploiting, like, their family drama. Like, I don't know. Hopefully they can just go ahead and separate, because they just seem very miserable with each other. Just separate, live in different houses, like Dolores' parents. I think Jackie's parents live in different houses too. I feel like they'll be much happier, much better off. Oh, goodness gracious, what a mess. But that wraps it up for this episode. Tell me what y'all thought of this episode in the comments below. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, and hit that notification bell so you're in the know when I release a new video, and subscribe. I would love to have you a part of Steph and Key TV. Stay safe, everyone. Bye.